So we'll start now. So Agnihotra is what we'll be here to talk to you about. It's a particular Homa. So you see the logo there, Homotherapy. Well, Agnihotra is the main Homa or healing fire. So Agnihotra is a simple Vedic science to heal the environment in us. So it's quite amazing because not only does it heal us, but it heals our environment simultaneously. And we need to stress that it's a Vedic science, and Vedas are universal knowledge and available to everyone on the planet. So it's not, Agnihotra is not so-called a religious practice, although you can use it as such, but it is a Vedic science which actually heals the environment and in turn heals us. I don't know how to get rid of that. Oh, maybe like that. Oh, good. So why is Agnihotra important now on our planet at this point? Well, it's extremely important, and this is the reason. On a healthy planet, nature is purified, rejuvenated, and nourished every day by sunrise energies. At sunrise, life-sustaining energies flood in from the sun at your particular place where you are witnessing sunrise. On a healthy planet, these energies are filtered through a healthy atmosphere, and that allows life-sustaining energies in and blocks out harmful energies from the sun. But what happens on a polluted planet is that this flood of life-sustaining energies that comes in every day is now passing through a totally polluted atmosphere. And so there's these beautiful life-sustaining energies, including prana, micronutrients, and a whole spectrum of energies required to keep a planet alive and functioning well. Those energies are depleted and distorted along the way. So the very mechanism for daily planetary rejuvenation is hampered now. So it's incredibly important that we do Agnihotra, because when we perform Agnihotra, it creates a channel in the atmosphere, enabling these life-sustaining energies to flood in all their healing, enlivening glory. The Agnihotra, this sunrise sunset healing fire, it floods the atmosphere with pranic energy. And this life force, in turn, detoxifies and rejuvenates the environment. And then the ash from the Agnihotra fire, so the residual ash, it is imbued with prana at the time of sunrise and sunset. That ash is imbued with the flood of prana that comes in. And so it becomes very potent medicine. And that medicine is for human beings. We can consume it. We can use it as ointment. It's for animals. It's for trees. It's for the soil. It's for the water. Because what we're doing with that ash when we consume it or give it to a tree or put it in water is that we're giving ourselves life force, lots of life force, which therefore gives us the energy to heal. It's the same with nature, with the environment. Now, Agnihotra is taken up by hundreds of thousands of people now in every country all over the world. This is Germany. And it's a beautiful photo because you can see the sun's rays pouring in at the horizon. And it connects with these Agnihotra fires. So Agnihotra is a basic Homa. It's the most important Homa. There are other healing fires in homotherapy, but this is the most important because it initiates the main healing cycle by being performed exactly at sunrise, exactly at sunset. And it's only at these times that the healing energy from the sun, the life-sustaining energies, come all the way down to the physical plane. Only at these particular times, except now on a polluted planet, this is largely blocked. But when we do Agnihotra, we create a channel. It reaches up 12 kilometers, and pranic energy is drawn down through this channel in perfect balance. And then the Agnihotra pyramid boosts that energy out, boosts that energy out into all the systems of nature. So plants benefit, animals, human beings, the atmosphere, the water, the soil, everything benefits. We're basically flooding our local environment with life force. So when you do that, flood your environment with life force, of course, there's so many benefits to us, personal healing, stress reduction. It's interesting because when prana is out of balance, and that takes place on a polluted planet, the pollution affects the prana, and prana becomes disturbed, distorted, and out of balance. Automatically that transfers to the mind because prana and mind are intimately connected. So then the mind becomes stressed and burdened, and you get fear states and all kinds of uncomfortable states of mind. But when we live in Agnihotra atmosphere, the prana is perfectly balanced and in abundance, and that reflects on our mind, and our mind becomes more centered and balanced automatically. And you can feel it as soon as you do Agnihotra. Within like a couple of minutes, you can feel all the stress dissolving. And also, as we said, it benefits the environment. It undoes the effects of pollution. How does it do that? Well, by bringing in all this life force, then that energy, that intelligent energy, goes about neutralizing harmful pollution and balancing the environment. It says in the Vedas that what Agnihotra does is it changes matter from a distorted state into an ideal state of matter. That includes subtle matter like the mind. So it changes matter from a distorted state into an ideal state of matter. That means a life-enhancing state. So Agnihotra is also a great assistance to growing food, organic gardening and farming. It's been experienced as neutralizing harmful radiation. There has been scientific tests to demonstrate that actually neutralizes radioactivity and also EMF. So that's great news because in our modern life, we're just surrounded by EMF distortion through Wi-Fi, etc. But by doing Agnihotra regularly, it takes care of that largely. The ashes for healing, as we explained before, it facilitates meditation. Agnihotra you go into deep meditations very easily. Even if you're not a meditator, you'll quickly discover what meditation is when you do Agnihotra. It brings harmony to the home, so everybody seems to report that harmony to the home once they start Agnihotra. And then your whole environment. When people come onto our land, we have a home farm, an organic farm, and an Agnihotra center. Everybody says how peaceful it is. So, these are common benefits people experience. Who can perform Agnihotra? Well, everybody can. So this is the amazing and wonderful thing that's happening now on our planet. All this Vedic knowledge and all universal knowledge that is from ancient wisdom is coming forward and being given out freely to all of humanity. So, for example, yoga has been given to the whole of humanity as a science of healing the body and getting the prana to flow through the body, etc. Agnihotra has been given to all people on the planet so we can heal our environment. of the toxicity we're constantly subjected to and heal ourselves at the same time. So, and it doesn't matter if you're a Christian or a Muslim or an atheist, it doesn't matter. Anyone can perform Agnihotra. So in order to receive these wonderful benefits, well, Agnihotra has to be performed correctly. So we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about what that means. So the materials and the method are exact. So the materials are a copper pyramid, and it's of a fixed size. It cannot, and fixed size and shape. So you can see there's 3 steps in the pyramid, and the size has to be that which is given by homotherapy centers. It can't be bigger, it can't be smaller if you want the results. Dried cow dung is the ingredient that we burn in the fire, along with cow's ghee, and we offer some brown rice into the fire. So they're the only ingredients, nothing else. No camphor, no herbs, no wood, just dried cow dung, cow's ghee, and brown rice. Then there's a mantra, and that mantra is very specific, and you cannot add other mantras to it or say it more once, and you cannot change that mantra. If you do, you won't get the effects. And then timing is exact to the second of sunrise and sunset. That might sound difficult. How can you work that out? But we have actually now an app on iPhone, on mobile phones, an app called Agnihotra Buddy, and that gives timing exact to the second for your location or wherever you are, where you want to perform Agnihotra. So the copper pyramid is of a specific size, the 3 steps. It's a pyramid power, basically. So the pyramid shape contributes to the healing that goes out.
The pyramid is actually a receiving station, you could say, and it is also a transmitter. So when Agnihotra is performed, a blazing fire is there, and then exactly at the time of your location to the second, we make an offering, 2 offerings of rice and ghee into the fire. And once that is done, the pyramid actually starts to resonate, subtly vibrate, and it emits different frequencies. There's 3 steps there. Each step emits their own frequency, and that's how it boosts that energy up in the atmosphere for about 12 kilometers up. And then, full of micronutrients, the energy, the pranic energy, comes down and nutritionalizes that whole atmosphere in the area where you perform Agnihotra.
So the specific material is pure copper or gold. Gold is pretty uncommon. The quality of the copper is important. No soldering, no holes, no rings. So we need to stress that. In India, you'll find lots of Agnihotra pyramids called kunds, and many of them have soldering holes and rings in them and are the wrong shape, wrong size for Agnihotra. They're okay for other havans and homas and pujas, but not for Agnihotra, which is pure Vedic science and performed at exactly to the second when the energies that sustain our planet are pouring in. So it's a very powerful moment, a very powerful homa, even though it's just a small homa and of short duration, it's extremely powerful. Copper has antimicrobial properties. If you want to have the results, you need to get the right equipment. And so it's best to obtain equipment from a homotherapy center. So we'll share the homotherapy centers for the various regions at the bottom of this PowerPoint. We are the certified homotherapy center for Australasia. So you can get your equipment from us, your correct equipment from us. Here's an example of a pyramid that's not correct for Agnihotra. There's soldering, there's rings, and there's only 2 steps, and it looks like it's an alloy, not pure copper. So dried cow dung is the only ingredient. It cannot be, apart from ghee and rice, and it cannot be from a buffalo, for example, but it can be from a male or a female or a calf and any breed of cow, not necessarily the Indian Desi cow with the hump. Preferably, though, from cows treated organically, if possible. Not necessary, but preferable. Now, cow manure, why cow manure? It's actually a antiseptic. It's been used in folk medicine all over the world. It was used as a fresh cow manure was used as a poultice on gangrenous wounds in World War I when they ran out of medicines. Then fresh cow manure was used to successfully draw out the gangrene. So it's clean. Cow dung is clean, it's antiseptic, and it's even medicinal. It inhibits growth of certain bacteria. It has protective properties regarding harmful radiation. So interestingly, with your iPhone, if you can measure the EMF from your iPhone and then put your iPhone on top of a cow dung cake, and you'll find that the EMF is largely down to 0. So quite amazing, the protective properties against harmful radiation from cow dung, and hence that flows on to Agnihotra. So pure cow's ghee, clarified, unsalted butter made from pure cow's milk with nothing else added. So it cannot be made from salted butter, for example, or butter with any additives. You have to be careful about commercial ghees that you might want to buy for your Agnihotra practice. You have to make sure that the company's reputable and actually making 100% pure cow's ghee and is not adulterating it with and buffing it up with other oils, which sadly is the case for a lot of brands. And the worst offender actually is in India. A lot of the Indian brands are adulterated. We tend to go for New Zealand ghee because in New Zealand they have grass-fed dairies, a lot of grass-fed dairies. So if you can find some good New Zealand ghee from grass-fed cows, usually you can trust that. Otherwise, you can make it yourself from unsalted butter. If you're a vegan, for example, and you prefer not to use ghee, unfortunately, the only ingredient in Agnihotra in relationship to the fuel is ghee, cow's ghee. You cannot use coconut oil, for example. If you change any of these ingredients, the cow dung, the ghee, the mantra, the side of the pyramid, and especially if you change the ingredients, you can in relationship to the ghee, can actually have a harmful effect on the atmosphere instead of a healing effect. Then when we make an offering into the Agnihotra fire, it's 2 pinches of whole grain, unpolished, raw rice, so brown rice, basically, preferably organic. You need to remove the broken grains because only whole grains can go into the fire. Everything that goes into the fire at Agnihotra time, its subtle energies and its nutrients are boosted out into the atmosphere. You don't want to boost out into the atmosphere subtle energies that are from a broken rice grain, for example. So you remove the broken bits. So the mantras for sunrise and for sunset For sunrise, Suryaya Swaha, Suryaya Idana Mama, Prajapataye Swaha, Prajapataye Idam Mama. At sunset, Agnaye Swaha, Agnaye Idana Mama, Prajapataye Swaha, Prajapataye Idam Mama. So the pronunciation is important, and the intonation, the tune. So if you to learn the mantra, you could go on our website, agnihotra.com.au, and you'll find sound files with our Agnihotra teacher, Shree singing the mantras. It's best to learn from Shree.
When you look at these mantras, you see in the first line, in the top line, at sunrise and at sunset, sunrise and sunset, there's Suryaya Swaha, and that repeats on the third line as well. So it is that Swaha which is used to make the offering of the rice and the ghee. There's going to be 2 pinches of rice mixed with ghee. So as soon as Swaha is spoken, that's the time when you make the offering of the rice and ghee into the fire. Then it followed by Suryaya Idam Nama Pajapataye Swaha. Then you make the second offering into the fire, and that's then repeated at sunset.
Later we'll show you a video of Fritz performing Agnihotra. The important thing is that you cannot add any mantras to this or take any or subtract any mantras. For example, many people would like to say Om Suryaya Swaha, but we do not add Oms. And some people think that the Agnihotra mantras are Om Trambakam mantra. That's not correct. And some people say the Agnihotra mantra and then follow it with Gayatri. That's also not correct. So Agnihotra is just saying this one mantra with the 2 offerings. And then you sit with the fire until the fire goes out. So Sanskrit is absolutely important. Some people say, well, why can't we translate it into English or say it in another sacred language like Latin, for example? Well, Sanskrit is the vibration of the thing itself. So Sanskrit is the mother of all languages. All languages contain Sanskrit, and Sanskrit borrows from no other language. It is the universal language, and it is the vibration or the resonance of the thing you're referring to. So it's pure invocation. So the Agnihotra mantras are only effective in Sanskrit. And then the other factor that's absolutely important for correct Agnihotra is the timing to the second. So Agnihotra is done exactly at sunrise, exactly at sunset for your location. If the timing is missed, even by like 10 seconds, it is not Agnihotra, and the beneficial effects will not be conferred. Agnihotra is done to the second. Luckily, we have this app now, which makes it very easy for us. But otherwise, homotherapy centers will calculate your timings for sunrise and sunset for a whole year and email them to you. And then you have a hard copy, and then you just need a watch that you constantly ensure is timed to the correct time. So this is a confusion that many people have when they're, for example, doing Agnihotra at the beach and they can see the horizon and they have their Agnihotra app, which is called Agnihotra Buddy, and it's telling them that Agnihotra is happening when they can still see the sun's disk is 1.5 disks above the horizon. So they think that the timing is incorrect, but it's not incorrect. Physically, the sun needs, yes, physically the sun needs to be half disk at the horizon, but visually we will see that as 1.5 disks above the horizon because of refraction in the atmosphere. So don't be confused. If you think it's not the wrong time when you're doing Agnihotra, if you can still see the sun is above the horizon.
So the difference can be up to about 4 or 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Between the calculation, what time it is given, let's say in a newspaper or given on the news or the internet, that time for sunrise and sunset, compared to the actual energetic time of sunrise and sunset, that can be about 4 or 5 minutes difference. So your timetable is not wrong. Your Agnihotra body calculation is not wrong compared to what you visually see.
So what happens at sunrise? This is a quote from Shree, the preceptor of homotherapy. And I'll just read it out. It's beautiful. At sunrise, the many fires, electricities, ethers, and more subtle energies emanating from the sun extend all the way down, all the way to the earth, and produce a flood effect at those coordinates where the sun is said to rise. It is awesome. The flood enlivens and purifies everything in its wake. So that's what happens at sunrise. At sunset, nature goes into a state of imbalance. As soon as the light is retracted, the sun's rays are retracted back to the solar range, nature goes into imbalance. For example, the growth rate of some kinds of pathogenic bacteria increase. Alzheimer's patients often become more confused. But if you do Agnihotra sunset, Agnihotra restores the balance until morning Agnihotra. So some people say, oh, well, what if I can't do sunrise and sunset every day? It doesn't matter. Just do Agnihotra when you can. Because every time you do Agnihotra, that extraordinary beneficial energy comes in. Of course, the ideal is to do Agnihotra every sunrise, every sunset. That's the ideal, but not necessarily possible for people. But that's how you'll get the full benefit. So here is Fritz is going to share with you how to perform Agnihotra. Here's a demonstration.
Hi, I'm Fritz from Aromatherapy Association of Australia. I'd like to share with you today an instruction video of how to build and light an Agnihotra fire. The Agnihotra fire is built in a copper pyramid. The copper pyramid is made out of one piece, has 3 steps, and no attachments of rings or things like that. The size and the shape is also specific. The implements we use for this Agnihotra process are all made of copper, rice dish, tongs and spoon. No other metals should be used or plastic. Then the ingredients we use in this Agnihotra fire is dried cow dung of any species of cow, with hump or without hump, calf, heifer or bull. We have whole grain rice and pure cow's ghee. The timing for this Agnihotra process is very specific. So we can either have, you can request at any homotherapy center around the world the timetable, or now we have an app for mobile phone, for iPhone or Android. The timing is exact to the second. So when the timing arrives of sunrise or sunset, that is the time when we start to speak the mantra. There's 2 swahas in this mantra at sunrise and at sunset. And at that time, we make the offering of rice and ghee into the fire. I'll show you now how to build the fire in this copper pyramid and how to light it. The bottom of the pyramid needs to be covered with cow dung. So you can either brace a peak to cover the bottom, or you can put some crumbs in. It's important to build a fire in the pyramids that allows enough airflow. If you put the pieces of cow dung so up against the wall of the pyramid, no airflow is possible, and most likely you will get a very smoky fire and not a hot burning fire. So the way around it is you can break off strips of cow dung and make sure that the cow dung you use is cracking dry. If there's moisture in the cow dung, it's difficult to light, and often you get a very smoky fire. So these strips we can lay across the corners of the pyramids, like so. Airflow is possible down under into the pyramid. So I'm only using 4 strips of cow dung, and then I've broken off a piece which is going to be my lighter piece, and it is narrow at the bottom and it is fairly thin. About 5 or 6 minutes before Agnihotra time, I apply a little ghee to this starter piece, and about 4 minutes before Agnihotra time, I will light the starter piece. We do not use any other mediums to light a fire. We only use dried cow dung and cow's ghee, no camphor, no wicks soaked in ghee, just this piece of cow dung, and we light it outside of the pyramid. And while I'm lighting it, I'll just turn this piece around. You can light it with a matchstick, or you can light a beeswax candle and light it on that. And once the piece is burning, then you can snuff out the candle. So keep turning it and keep it a bit under an angle so it will catch fire all the way around. Then I insert it in the middle of the stack, and it will, if the cow dung is nice and dry, it will catch on really well. So I'm just going to melt some ghee from the copper spoon on this starter piece. And I do that because it will keep the starter piece alight from the bottom. If you don't do it and the flame creeps up to the top, it will not light the other pieces of cow dung properly, and sometimes the fire even can go out. So the fire will take care of itself. I add a couple of bits of rice grains in this dish, and we're going to take the broken pieces out. You only want to offer whole and complete grains of rice. So that's sufficient. You want roughly about 2 pinches there, as there are 2 offerings in this Agnihotra fire. So I melt a bit of ghee and add it to the rice in this copper dish, and smear all the grains with a bit of ghee. Divide it into 2 portions, as there's going to be 2 offerings straight after the word Swaha. The Agnihotra mantra is specific. It is at sunrise and sunset. The melody is the same. The first line is slightly different. So I'll sing both mantras for you. We'll start with singing the Agnihotra mantra for sunset. So I'll go through the motion. This is not Agnihotra time. This is just for demonstration purpose. So We only make offering with the right hand, always with the right hand, not with the left hand, even if we are left-handed. This is for energetic purposes. So the mantra for sunset is Agnaye Swaha, first offering. Agnaye Idana Mama Prajapataye Swaha, second offering. Prajapataye Idana Mama. That completes Agnihotra, the Agnihotra process. At sunrise, it is exactly the same, but you would say Suryaya Swaha, Suryaya Idana Mama, Prajapataye Swaha, Prajapataye Idana Mama. And then why I did it at a demonstration time other than sunrise or sunset is because when we do the Agnihotra process, we do not talk around the pyramid, and especially once the mantra is spoken, we just be in silence.
Okay. So then we've got a lot of points here, but I think I'll skip them because I'm sure we're flooding you with too many details. It's important to know that when you do not perform Agnihotra, so you do not perform Agnihotra when you're too ill to perform Agnihotra. To keep this cycle going, you could always ask another family member to perform it if they would. But otherwise, you just have to let go of Agnihotra if you're too ill. Also, if you're bleeding, a cut or a wound that is bleeding, you don't perform Agnihotra. And if you are menstruating at the time, you do not perform Agnihotra. Similar reason to the one in the middle, you do not perform Agnihotra when there is bleeding. Now, the effects of Agnihotra are miraculous and marvelous and change your whole life into a very positive, divinely assisted life. It's the best way I can describe it. First of all, you'll notice that it helps your mind because atmosphere and mind are connected. And when prana is out of balance, then the mind is also out of balance. When we do Agnihotra and bring the prana back into a flowing, functioning, harmonious state, that in turn brings peacefulness to the mind and is conducive to the consciousness of love. Now you can see here a graph, there's medical markers that can show when there's anxiety or when there's depression. So before Agnihotra, the anxiety levels are in red. After Agnihotra, anxiety levels are in blue. So you can see every time a big change. And then depression is gray. After Agnihotra, green. So you can see a big shift in relationship to depression as well. So a lot of what we've talked about in relationship to Agnihotra has been demonstrated scientifically and continues to, there's many people scientists doing experiments which demonstrates that Agnihotra is truly effective on our environment and on our health. So here's an indication of how helpful and how quick it can be performing Agnihotra in bringing positive changes to the mind. This is drug de-addiction. So there's a foundation in Colombia, a live-in drug de-addiction center. And the director was telling our homotherapy colleagues that normally after 1 year of drug de-addiction live-in, there's very little change. But they noticed that just after 20 days of homotherapy, there's a substantial healing amongst many inmates, just after 20 days. What is homotherapy? Homotherapy is the patient would be performing Agnihotra themselves, sunrise and sunset. They'd also be performing another healing fire called Om Triambakam Homa for 1 hour. It's an ongoing fire. But the most important part is sitting and performing Agnihotra themselves, sunrise and sunset, and taking the ash medicine internally. So here's a testimonial of one of the inmates, Carlos. I'm 28. I've been involved in homotherapy, doing my own fire, etc., for 22 days. I was on cocaine almost every day for 13 years. I started when I was 15. With homotherapy, one feels at ease and lighter. Addiction is like a weight on your shoulders that is killing you. Even though you know the addiction is harmful, you feel that you cannot control it. With homotherapy, after just 22 days, I feel very calm. My anxiety is gone and I don't feel the addictive urge. So this was the case for many inmates in this drug de-addiction center when our homotherapy colleagues went there and helped them with setting up a homotherapy program. Pretty amazing. So Agnihotra also helps the body. Just like it rejuvenates the environment and detoxifies the environment, it also rejuvenates our body and detoxifies our body. And the ash is extremely healing. So we suggest that you take the ash throughout the day in water on a regular basis throughout the day, because we're subject to all kinds of pollution throughout the day. And you can also make healing ointment by mixing the Agnihotra ash with ghee. It's very simple. You don't have to worry too much about ratios. Just mix some ash powder with ghee and you've got your ointment. And it's wonderful in pain reduction and fast healing of wounds, etc. If you want to make it most potent, that Agnihotra healing ash, it's best to shower and put on clean clothes before Agnihotra. Agnihotra ash water, this shows you why it's so important to drink it. It immediately purifies the water, alkalizes and vitalizes the water. So here's, we did a test here at Om Shree Dham at our place, and we tested tap water, we tested bottled water, commercial bottled water, and both were acidic, surprisingly. But as soon as we put ash in both the bottled water and the tap water, by the way, our tap water is just rainwater, then it immediately became alkaline. But also it vitalizes, it fills the water with life force. And if you want to purify water, if you leave the ash in say water that's from the tap that has chemicals in it, if you leave the Agnihotra ash in there for 3 days, it largely purifies that water as well. Here's blood pressure, a test on people before Agnihotra and after Agnihotra. So the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they're high blood pressure. And you can see after Agnihotra, 30 minutes after Agnihotra, all the readings have gone down to more normal blood pressure. And then here we have low blood pressure. And after Agnihotra, it's reverted to more normal blood pressure. So that's quick. That's very quick healing, isn't it? 30 minutes. This is fascinating. Live blood analysis. So a prick of blood is taken from the patient and immediately viewed under a dark field microscope. This patient was presenting with headache, nausea, and restlessness. And you can see that his blood before his blood was what's called sticky blood. So sticky blood means these are all the red blood cells that carry the oxygen and nutrients to the rest of the body. But if they're all sticky and clumping together, there's no free flow and freely transporting the oxygen and the nutrients. Also, if you can read what you see under the microscope, then you can see that this blood in Exhibit A is compromised, many unhealthy cells. Then a glass of water. This also can indicate, when it's sticky blood, it can indicate dehydration. So a glass of water was given to the patient, and then his blood was viewed again. And you can see that the water has hydrated the blood after 15 minutes, and it's more free-flowing. But there's still some stickiness, and 75% of the cells are compromised. So you might be able to see a little circle inside the circle. That's called a bullseye, and it indicates that the blood cell is parasitized by microorganisms or is lacking iron. So then the patient was given purified water with Agnihotra ash. And then 15 minutes later, his blood was viewed again. And the cells are completely free-flowing. And 90% are healthy cells, 90% compared to only 15% with ordinary water. So this is astounding demonstration of the healing power of drinking Agnihotra ash water. Here's some testimonies. There's so many. I just chose about 3 to give you an idea. So in a leprosy clinic in South America, wounds that did not heal for 30 years, when Agnihotra was performed by volunteers on a regular basis and given an Agnihotra ash medicine and ointment distributed. Wounds that did not heal for 30 years were healing, the pain was decreasing, and emotional and mental state much improved. So 30-year wounds were actually healing just in the vicinity of Agnihotra and taking the ash medicine and using the ointment. You'd think with, if you had asthmatic problems or lung problems, that you wouldn't want to expose yourself to Agnihotra smoke, but Agnihotra smoke's actually healing. And many, many people are cured of asthma. Parvati had a chronic asthma from the age of 11. And in her 20s, she took up Agnihotra, and after 2 weeks of practicing Agnihotra, her asthma was gone after having chronic asthma from the age of 11. Here's a young girl who suffered a terrible allergy from a penicillin allergy. And the parents consulted 21 doctors, allopathic, Ayurvedic. None of the remedies helped her. But and she suffered this for 8 years. After 2 months treatment with Agnihotra and Agnihotra ash ointment, and she's greatly improved. So we've seen these kinds of miracles in our life too. We've been doing Agnihotra for 35 years, and the ash medicine is what we've been using for ourselves and for our children. And yes, we have plenty of miracles to share. So Agnihotra, as I said, not only heals the person, but it's healing on the environment. This is the amazing thing about Agnihotra. Here's a test showing air quality by measuring particulate matter, particles floating in the atmosphere that indicates the atmosphere is polluted. Before Agnihotra, you have these readings. SOx means sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxide, and this is particulate matter. So these are the readings before Agnihotra. During Agnihotra, there's not much difference. After Agnihotra, particulate matter even goes up, and that's because of the presence of smoke. But 15 hours after Agnihotra, all the readings go down. So that means this is showing that the atmosphere is improved by the performance of Agnihotra.
Mm.
Then microbial count. So both, you can take agar plates and put them in a room and measure the microbial, and they will grow, bacteria will grow on the agar plates, and you can count the microbial count through these agar plates. You can also measure the microbial count in water before Agnihotra and then after Agnihotra. And invariably, you can see before Agnihotra, microbial count is high. After Agnihotra, it's much reduced. So this experiment has been repeated over and over again, and these are the results. Always a great reduction in harmful microbes in the atmosphere and in water. I mentioned radioactivity. Agnihotra neutralizes radioactivity. Astounding, but true. After the Chernobyl accident, a radioactive cloud went over the whole of Europe, and there was a Homer farm in Austria. That cloud had gone over Austria, so the government tested all milk and fodder for radioactivity. But in the Homer farm, the tests showed that the milk and fodder was free of radioactivity, while in all the surrounding farms, they had radioactive contamination. EMF distortion, people are very worried about, 5G, 4G, all the EMF we're exposed to. Here we have our Agnihotra heart, and it's next to a power transformer, which emits quite a high level of EMF distortion usually. But because we've been doing Agnihotra, the meter next to our hut and in between the power transformer and our hut shows 0 EMF, which is, again, proof that Agnihotra neutralizes EMF distortion. Many people have also experienced in their homes when they start performing Agnihotra that EMF in their computer room where the Wi-Fi is emitting normally harmful energies that might give them migraines, for example. They find after performing Agnihotra, no more migraines, and if you have an EMF meter, it shows negligible EMF. So I think we'll talk about biodiversity. Amazing. Only 3% of the world's ecosystems are still ecologically intact, only 3%. So hence the great importance of Agnihotra. Some tests were shown along the holy river, along the Narmada in India. The biodiversity of invertebrates in the mud of the riverbed were tested. And in the riverbed next to the homotherapy center on the banks of the river Narmada in Maheshwar, it had a much higher percentage of variety of invertebrates and also quantity than upstream or downstream, just where Agnihotra was performed, and Agnihotra ash occasionally put in the river. Also, a second study examined the number of different butterflies at 3 stations along the Narmada River. 32 different species of butterflies were counted at these 3 places, but at the Homotherapy Center, it was 68% higher level, 68% higher level of quantity of butterflies and diversity. And even water quality was shown to be much better at Maheshwar than downstream or upstream, and was fulfilling the standards set by the World Health Organization. Then last but not least, Agnihotra and growing food, extremely important. So Homa farming is regular Agnihotra, sunrise, sunset on your farm. Some Om become Homa as well. An Agnihotra ash application in the soil, in the water, putting ash in your compost, regularly spraying ash water on the plants. And in numerous studies, the color, texture, size, taste, and health of Homa produce have been found to be superior. Agnihotra is shown to aid photosynthesis. You can see the same leaves with Agnihotra and without Agnihotra. Massive difference. And then it also helps with disease. But I think we'll just stop here because it's been a long presentation. So we'll go to out of this, stop share. Okay. Well, thanks for remaining with us. It was a long presentation, but now I'd like to open it up to Q&A. You can ask any questions you like. You can either write them in the chat or you can unmute yourself and ask.
Ali, I just wanted to ask, how shall I make my own ghee?
Okay, so where do you live, Ruki?
South Australia, Adelaide?
And have you got an Agnihotra kit from us?
Not yet. I'm just not yet, but I will buy.
Wonderful. Well, when you get an Agnihotra kit from us, you'll get an instruction manual and it will tell you how to make ghee. It's very easy. You need to get unsalted butter and melt it.
Like from where? Like from Coles? Any organic particular brand?
It's preferable to get organic unsalted butter if you can. Preferable.
All right. Okay.
But
And yeah.
it's not necessary, but it's preferable.
Okay. And one more question. I saw on your presentation the mantra for sunrise. The presentation it shows only sunrise, not sunset.
Oh yes, we showed the mantra for sunset as well. It's Agnaye Swaha, Agnaye Idanna Mama, Prajapataye Swaha, Prajapataye Idanna Mama.
It's also on our website, Ruki, the mantras.
Yeah. I just saw, but on your presentation, on top of the topic, it says only sunrise. Oh, sorry, sunset. Oh, sorry, sunrise, not sunset. On your presentation.
Yeah, we have to check the. Thanks for pointing that out. That needs to be changed.
All right.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I get it. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. And which second question? Okay. I work like from 7 to 6:30. I can't do the fire presentation, like fire things, but instead of fire, can I chant the mantra on that the sunset or sunrise time? Because that during that time I work,
Yes. So when you're, of course, on weekends you could do Agnihotra.
Oh yeah, we can.
Yeah. And then when you can't do Agnihotra, you can visualize it
Oh,
and
okay.
say that's the right time. But
Oh,
of course, it won't be the same. But at least you keep the routine going and there will be some effect.
beautiful. Yeah, that's all I was thinking the question. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. If
Thank
you'll
you.
unmute you'll mute
Okay.
yourself now.
All right.
Maybe we have.
Thank you. Did you have a question, Diane?
I do. Sorry, I was on mute. I read and I've been practicing leaving the ash in the pyramid until the next ceremony. Sometimes I'll put
I just have to interrupt because we can't hear you at all. Is it possible? There's a distortion, like bad reception. So can you write it? Because I can't hear you. Can you write in the chat?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, I can if I can find words.
Thank you. If somebody's asking, I have a cold, but not too sick. Is that okay to still do? Yes, but I would put a mask on so you're not breathing into the fire. Okay. So you can do Agnihotra, but put a mask on if you've got a cold. You never blow into the fire, for example. Say the fire's not going well, and it's approaching the time to say the mantra and make your offering into the fire, but you want to rejuvenate the fire quickly. You cannot blow into it because that would be introducing bacteria from your mouth. You can only fan the fire, which is like mimicking the wind, or open a door or get some airflow in so that it might help.
So Diana is writing a question here, and she says, does it matter if rain gets into the ash in the pyramid overnight? So the pyramid is exposed to the elements, and if some rain comes into this ash. Ideally, I would try and avoid it if that's possible. What we sometimes suggest is, when the pyramid sits, let's say, on a table on the veranda, just to put in a terracotta pot, which is like a clay natural material pot, and turn it upside down over the pyramid. And you can plug up the hole in the bottom of the pot. So it is then protected. It's also a wonderful way if you, let's say, you've done Agnihotra at sunrise, and you want to leave the pyramid undisturbed on a table, and protect it from the wind and protect it from rain and from birds and other animals. You can do the same thing. So once the fire is finished, it is extinguished naturally, you can just place this terracotta pot over the pyramid. It needs to be a fairly large pot to do that. And then the S structure remains intact in the pyramid. What I'm getting at is that if you can leave the pyramid undisturbed after sunrise fire, there remains a subtle energy connection between the ash particles and the sun. So there's a constant emitting of subtle energy, meaning there's a subtle healing which continues. As soon as you lock the pyramid, or some wind blows the ash structure, then that stops by itself. But you can prevent it by putting this terracotta pot over the top. When you get towards sunset, you just take the pot off and you empty out the remaining ash, which is healing, of course, in a receptacle where you keep your ash, and then you build the next fire. You can do that the same thing then overnight, like what you talked about here, Diane, with some rain get in there.
I guess the ash that's been wet with the rain, you could use that on the soil and on plants, but you wouldn't use that as medicinal ash for yourself, for human consumption. Does it matter if rain gets into the ash in the pyramid overnight? How clean should you get it? What do you mean by that? How clean? Oh, I think I've replied to that, haven't I?
Hmm.
Yeah. Yes, you can put it in the compost. You can give it to the garden, and you can also give that ash to animals, for example. If you've got a sick animal, they greatly benefit from ash medicine as well. You could put it in their water, or put it in their feed.
Mariel is asking a question here. If you only do the process once per week, or what's it?
Just
If you only do it once per week or longer, do the healing benefits last? I presume you're saying that.
Unmute क्या? Did you unmute कर अपना question पूछना?
Ruki, can you mute yourself, please?
Just wanted to ask one more question, Lynn.
Can you wait a second? We're just in the middle of some.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So if you can only do the Agnihotra process once a week, as Mariel is asking, will that still have lasting effects? So the Agnihotra energy is only there when you perform it. So you have the benefit, your environment has the benefit of that Agnihotra fire you perform there and then. The effect of Agnihotra energy lasts roughly from sunrise to sunset. So at sunset you will do the next Agnihotra fire, and the length of these times between sunrise and sunset and sunrise kind of form like it's like a biocycle. So if you keep doing it, then that builds eventually a biosphere around the area where you do it. However, if you can only perform it, let's say on the weekend, and you cannot do it any other day, any other times, because of commitments and things like that, that's just how it is. However, the benefit is also locked in the ash. So you can actually take that ash, like Lee explained before, you can mix it in with water and drink that ash and have the benefit like that. It's of course not the same as performing Agnihotra. That's the most beneficial thing to do. What some people do is they perform, let's say they can perform it at sunrise at home, but they have commitments at work, and at sunset they're still at work. They perform Agnihotra in their car or near the work in the park or things like that. Often when we're traveling, we have a little box, and we just notice the time on Agnihotra body, and we just stop and perform that fire in the car, as we find a great benefit in doing so and in keeping it going. But that's of course everybody's circumstances are different.
So I have kept my pyramid on a ceramic coasters on a stone table. Is it okay to use the ceramic coasters under the pyramid, or will it disturb the vibrations? No, ceramic is fine.
That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Any other questions? Or
I'd just like to say though that when you do one Agnihotra, a big energetic shift takes place, and that benefit lasts a long time. It's but you know, because we're on a polluted planet and we're just subjected to pollution all the time, then it's best to do Agnihotra sunrise followed by Agnihotra sunset, then followed by Agnihotra sunrise, just to keep clearing all the stuff that keeps coming in. But energetically, just doing one Agnihotra shifts so much stuff, burns up so much stuff. So never feel that you're wasting your time by doing irregular Agnihotra. You're doing incredible healing work for yourself and for the planet.
so Mariel is asking, what can you store the Agnihotra ashes in? If you want to store them, it's good to store them in either a glass container or a ceramic container, or it can also be in copper. And it needs to have a lid. You need to protect that ash from the atmosphere, from being open to the environment, the atmosphere. So you can do it in an ordinary glass jar with a screw-on lid, as long as the ash doesn't touch the metal lid. It should stay free from that. So it's better if you can have a glass jar with a glass lid, or better not plastic, or just having a ceramic bowl with a lid. That works quite well. And the energy, sometimes people ask, okay, so we have this wonderful Agnihotra ash coming up this Agnihotra fire. You can mix the ash of sunrise and sunset. You don't have to keep sunrise ash separate and then sunset ash separate. You can just mix them together. And then often the question is followed by, how long does that ash contains that energy? Does it actually, will it lose its energy, its potency? It does not. After years, it's still, that energy is still locked in there. The only time you can lose the energy is when a woman is menstruating and she would touch that Agnihotra ash. That actually neutralizes the energy in the Agnihotra ash. So that's also the reason why when a woman's menstruating, that you do not perform Agnihotra fire for those at least the first 4 days.
If anybody wants to know why, I can explain why. But if you're happy with that response, that's good. All right. Any other questions? Well,
Please explain.
oh, please explain. Okay. Yes, it's a good idea. So when Agnihotra is performed, there's an energy spiral that goes upwards to the east. And when a woman's menstruating, there's an energy spiral that goes downwards, earthwards. So it's a bit like, you know, blood is liquid. Liquid flows down. Fire moves up. So the energy is actually going in opposite directions, and they counteract each other. Also, when a woman has her period, the body registers it as a wound and goes into oxidative stress. And in that oxidative stress, the body loses negative ions. So when a woman is menstruating who's lost negative ions touches something, she takes negative ions from that. And then that object, or that, for example, if I touch my husband when I'm menstruating, then I will take negative ions from him because I'm lacking negative ions. It's the same with touching the cow dung or the pyramid or whatever. So that's why when you're menstruating, you don't touch the cow dung, you don't touch the pyramid, you don't touch the ghee, because you'll be taking negative ions from it just naturally because your body's in oxidative stress and it's losing negative ions. Also, what happens when you have your period is you lose prana. So if I touch my husband when I've got my period, I'm naturally taking prana from his energy field. The same if I touch the Agnihotra equipment, I'm taking prana from there. So that's why when you're menstruating in Vedic society, where they understand this, they recommend the woman does not prepare food for the family, but somebody else prepares food at that time, because the woman will be taking the life force, just naturally absorbing the life force from that food that she's preparing. So just think of the energies that go in opposite directions, basically. So they neutralize each other. So when women, especially Western women who haven't been able to understand this concept, and have felt just discriminated against and continued to do Agnihotra when they had their period, they've actually contacted me and said, I now understand, because I got dreadful abdominal pain, and because I did Agnihotra when I had my period, because it's a counter energy, so it disrupts your menstrual cycle basically, and it will neutralize Agnihotra to some extent. So that's why you don't perform Agnihotra when you're bleeding. Okay. Any other questions? Oh, you're most welcome. Most welcome, yes. Oh, hello, Sharon. Have you got a question? You need to unmute yourself.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much. It's been wonderful. I was just going to ask, I might have missed, when you take it, what's the ratio from water to ash that you drink?
Oh,
Like a tablespoon? Or
no glass of water, just a couple of pinches of ash is enough.
just a couple of pinches of ash?
Yeah. There's another way you can also take Agnihotra ash you can get a liter of water in a Pyrex saucepan, and put a couple of dessert spoons of Agnihotra ash in, and boil it. And
That is a couple of dessert spoons is roughly to a liter, isn't it?
yeah, was it to a liter? No, that was 2 liters. So 1 dessert spoon of Agnihotra ash in 1 liter, and you boil it. So that's another way, and then you filter it and then drink that. So you can either just put
Okay.
Agnihotra ash water and let it, but when you do that, it's preferable to leave it sitting for at least 2 days. So it charges
Oh,
up the water. Whereas if you put the Agnihotra ash in a Pyrex saucepan and boil it, then you don't have to wait 2 days.
oh, okay. Fantastic. There's one
Yeah.
other thing. I've got the buddy, Agnihotra buddy, and I've lost the sunset and sunrise times on it. It's gone. It's just the time, but it hasn't got the sunset and sunrise, the time. Should I maybe just
Yeah, can
uninstall it?
I, are you on an Android or are you on iPhone?
Android.
Android, okay. Yeah, there's some problems with that Android app. There's 2 different apps there's one for iPhone, one is for Android, and there has been some struggles. If you could send us an email, I'll text you back. There's a little information tutorial of how you can remedy the situation, and let's see
Okay.
if that will fix it up.
Fantastic.
It's important that your phone is updated to the latest software, because otherwise the app won't interact properly with your software.
It was going
Uh,
good, and then the other couple of days ago, I looked at it, and that was all there, but there was no time, no sun time or sunset or sunrise time. It was really weird.
yeah,
Do you
Anyway,
have a
I'll do
time?
that.
Do you have a timesheet from us?
No, I don't think so, because I'm in a
It's
country town.
email
Sorry?
us and email us and give us your address, and we'll send you the
Oh,
timings, printed.
I'll send it as a PDF, so you have it for the rest of the year. This is the backup. Yeah,
that'd be-
because the app plays
yes.
up at least times on your timesheet.
Yeah, I had to quickly Google it, and it just gives you like 5:15, doesn't tell you the seconds. So it was, not as good. Yeah, that's great.
Would
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
So the Google time is actually totally inaccurate for Agnihotra. It's not suitable for Agnihotra. But
I had no
once it's,
choice.
yeah, well, okay.
There's only it was only 2 days, so it's been good before that. So yeah,
Okay,
okay, I'll do that. What you said. Thank you so much.
Yeah, email us tonight and we'll send you a timetable straight away.
Okay, we'll do. All right, thank you. All right, I'll try and turn this off.
So
How do you do
can
that?
put the copper cup. Yes, Agnihotra ash can be in a copper cup, but not in a stainless steel cup, for example. Only copper is the only metal you can put Agnihotra ash in. So it's best either, and you don't put Agnihotra ash in plastic either. Do you need to filter the ash water before drinking it? Not necessarily. But if you boil the ash in water, it's a good idea to sieve it. It can be a bit constipating otherwise. So yeah, sieve the ash if you boil it. But if you're just putting the ash in water and then letting it sit for a couple of days, say in a glass jug or a copper vessel or a ceramic jug, for example, you don't need to sieve it. It will sink down to the bottom and you pour out the water and it's clear. But even if you get some ash, that's good for you.
It's just muddy up.
Okay. Well, I think that's about it. And I hope you all benefited from this presentation and let people know about this. They can learn Agnihotra online or get inspired or find out things they had no idea about, all the incredible benefits that Agnihotra can give us. And basically our planet is in severe crisis. So anyone who's doing Agnihotra is contributing to the solution. And you're also creating a healing biosphere in which you can live a reasonable life where you're bringing nature back into a natural condition and you're constantly detoxifying yourself as well. So Agnihotra is incredibly important and just let everybody know about it. You know, the best way of letting people know about it is invite them over to sit for Agnihotra and then immediately they can feel the benefits. Most people, doesn't matter how skeptical, will feel that peace, will feel the stress disappear, will suddenly have a healing of a physical problem, you know, just by sitting for Agnihotra. So it speaks for itself.
What's also a great benefit is that when you perform Agnihotra yourself in your home, that Agnihotra fire actually has an effect of 360 meters around you. That means it's about a diameter of 3/4 of a kilometer. That effect of Agnihotra is there and brings transformation and nutritionalizes and balances that atmosphere. So let's say you're living in the middle of Brisbane somewhere and you perform Agnihotra there for 3/4 of a kilometer around you, that beautiful energy descends and starts to harmonize and de-stress the environment. So, which is fantastic for your neighbors. And there might be people there who might not be interested in performing Agnihotra, but they still, I'm sure, would love to receive the benefit, even if they do not know what's going on. They might not even know that you do Agnihotra, which is fine. You know, so you're actually doing a service to the immediate group of people you live with in your area. Then Mariel is asking, the dung you showed looked flat and tidy. Is it flattened while it is soft? Yes, it is. We every morning we go out into the field and collect fresh cow dung. And we've created we supply cow dung, dried cow dung like that all over Australia, except for Western Australia due to custom regulations, you know, importing plums and things like that. But we pad it out on wooden bench tops, and let them dry. And we make them about 10, 12 millimeters thick at the most. And we burn exactly the same cowling as you could see on the video, and that's the same cowling we send out. It tends to vary a bit going with the seasons. It depends on what the cows eat. If there's a lot of lush grass, you tend to get a lot more compact cowling. You just need to light it a little earlier. In the summer, when there's more lush grass and dry grasses, the cowling tends to be open, easier to light and things like that. But if that's not an option for you, you can still collect your own cowling and collect it fresh, pad it out on some wooden boards, non-treated wooden boards. It actually is in your instruction manual, which comes with Agnihotra kit. There's information of how to do it. But if that's not an option, you can still collect lumps of cowling, dried cowling from the field. And then, when you have these lumps, you can, when they're really dry, you can slice them with a serrated knife into manageable, thick slices. It is, at least you can perform Agnihotra like that. If you collect it fresh and pad it out and dry it like that and store it away, as cow dung has the ability to absorb moisture from the atmosphere, so once it is dry, you really need to store it in plastic or in bins so the moisture stays out of it. Otherwise, when it absorbs moisture, it becomes more difficult to light. If you collect it fresh and pad it out, the advantage of that is that you do not get a lot of insects in that cow dung. While if you collect it from the field and you slice it, you'll find there's all kind of insects that have been in there, and often it can be leached by the rain, so all the nutritional content has changed a bit, and is but at least you can perform Agnihotra. That's the most important thing.
So that's lucky that somebody lives by the dairy, next to a dairy. Yeah, you can
Fantastic.
collect your own cow dung and dry it.
The place to live.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, if is there any more questions? Otherwise, I think we'll just finish here for tonight. If you have any problems with that app, there seems to be a problem with the Android app, Agnihotra Buddy, just email us with your full address, then we'll calculate the timings for your location. It can be several locations if you have, and we'll just send you an email with a PDF with a timetable for the remainder of the year. So at least you have that, and you can just use the world clock on your phone or a watch, and make sure that the clock you use then is correct. Ready to think?
I think that's it.
Okay.
So thank you, everybody, and God bless you.
Mm.